This is Java programming on the Mac. To get started, you'll need to be able to run Eclipse. It's usually on the dock. If it's not on the dock, you'll need to click on the desktop to go to Finder, go to Applications, and then you should see Eclipse somewhere in this. The best view is the second tab, which is the list view. And then you can just double click to execute Eclipse. When Eclipse starts up, you'll be expected to choose a workspace. You can leave it at the default workspace for now, but normally you want to create it on your home folder. Click OK. Okay, sometimes it'll start in the welcome screen and you'll need to go to the workbench. From the workbench, you'll need to create a new Java project and just call it whatever you like, and it'll be fine. You can call it your name, you can call it Java, anything's fine. I've already done mine, it's tutorials. You'll need to click on the arrow and open up source. Right click and you'll need to create a new class for the first program. And that one's welcome 1. I've already got welcome 1, so you can double click on any of these to edit it. If you need more space, you can close these windows. If for some reason you mess up all your windows, you can always go to the window and reset perspective. And it'll bring everything back. But again, we don't need these two windows. So if we start off, when you create a new class, it'll just look like this. There's not much in there. We're going to type something in from the textbook. And make sure you start typing between the curly brackets. You might want to start typing down here where there's empty space, but you really need to be between the brackets. Okay, and you need another set of brackets. So you should have 2 left curly brackets and 2 right curly brackets. They should always match up. If you have an error, it'll be underlined in red. Java is particular about using upper and lower case, so check your textbook to make sure you have the correct spelling. From your textbook, you might confuse the next character as being an L, a 1, or an I. Generally, function names won't have numbers in Java. So this is actually print line, ln. Most Java statements end with a semicolon. If you have a red underline at the end of a line, it's most likely because you don't have a semicolon. Okay, what does this look like if you typed it at the end? So if I cut and paste, you would get 2 red markers. This function needs to be inside the class. To run this, we can run this in regular mode or debug mode. So you can click on these buttons. Sometimes these buttons won't work if you have more than one class. So I have 3 classes here, or 3 programs. To specifically run this one, we can right click and just run. And you can set this to true. Okay, and the program runs and it just prints this out. Not too interesting. For each exercise, it's best to create a new source file so that you have a history of what you've done. So the second one is welcome to. Again, you don't want any spaces here. Java classes are best without spaces. Okay, you can always cut and paste. There's a slight danger in cutting and pasting, but for these programs, it's simple enough. You can have /n, as the book suggests. And if we run this, it has /n. To get these special characters, it needs to be a backslash. So that's one error that you might run into. And if we run it again, there we go. Printing is not too interesting. Most programs do math. So let's set a variable. This is an integer. Int stands for integer. You can also have floating point. Integer is generally more accurate because floating point does have rounding errors. We print this out. Printf is a formatted print, and %x equals, and we put %d. %d means you want to print a variable rather than a literal. So up here we can see welcome to Java programming. That's literal. It literally prints that out. %d means it doesn't print it out. It's going to print out something from the variable. So we're going to print from x. When we have x here, this is literally x. It's not the variable. Okay, so we'll run that just to see what it looks like. So it says x equals 5. Now we can change the variable. ++ is a shortcut for incrementing by 1. And I'm just going to show the operation. And when you have a literal, it needs a quote to start and quotes to end. So I'm missing the quote here, which is why it's underlined. And run. And this line runs into this line, so really we should have a /n at the end, which is new line. Now if we run it again, now that looks better. We can do any expression, so we can add 6 to x. We'll just cut and paste, make things go a little quicker. And run it. And there's shortcuts for doing this as well. You can do x plus equals 6. So it's adding to itself plus 6. And we'll run that. Okay, so it's doing exactly what we expected. If for some reason you had a bug, you can set a breakpoint. So let's right click and then toggle breakpoint. Now you can't run it in this mode. You want to run it in debug mode. Again, I'm going to show you what happens if you have more than one. You might want to go into this mode to select the correct program to run. Okay, so now it's stopped here. We have more windows in debug mode. And F6 is the step over. So in this window, we can see what's happening to X. It's 5 as we expect. Now it should be 6 after there. And it's 6. And we're adding 6, so this should be 12. And it's 12. If you're debugging and you want to try something different, you can change this value. We'll make it 10. And then we'll continue executing. F6. And it's equal to 10. And now it's 16. So you can change values just to test without recompiling. And just hit stop when you're done. This is still in a debug view. You can change it back to Java view by clicking on the Java button. And this completes the lesson. Please finish chapter 2.